Hey guys, I'm Patrick and welcome to my channel Relationship Addiction. Today we'll see how an army officer fooled her wife by collecting her affair evidence and exposed her in front of her family. Let's see how all of these happened. I need some advice. Please help me fast. I am a special army force member and I was on 3 tours. I have been away from states for months at a time. I got married when I was 24 years old. I am now 36. My squad is of 6 members and have been together for a while. Whenever we are in states, me and my squad get together for a barbecue almost every month. 3 days ago, we were on one of these get-together. I was with my friends at my friend's place, and our wives were at my place drinking in their own get-together. We all have houses in same neighborhood near base. After about an hour since started cooking steak, we realized the beer was still at my place, so I walked past the street to get to my place. I went around because I had to grab something from the shed and entered the back door near kitchen. That's when I hear our wives giggling. I got curious, so I heard as I was picking up beer. I heard they were talking about their affairs and how they thought their affair partners were cute and whose thing was bigger, and how they did it at our houses and in our cars and at their places, giving each other advices on which hotels is better and cheaper and how to keep their burner phones hidden. When I heard all that, I almost went into shock. I was almost paralyzed. I have been shot 3 times, and I can tell you it doesn't hurt as much as listening to all that. It was as if I got hit by lightning. During training, we are taught to switch off our emotions, to think calmly and rationally, to not let emotions cloud our thinking. It's like flipping a switch. So I switched of my emotions and didn't confront them. I then picked up beer and went to my friend's place. I just stayed quiet. My friends got worried, but I didn't say anything. I have been thinking since then. I know I am divorcing my wife, but I don't know if I should tell my friends all this. I don't know if I should hurt them anymore. We have been hurt a lot already. Please someone give me input on what I should do. Should I let them live this lie in blissful ignorance or hurt them through truth? Many have suggested that I tell them, so I will. Update 1. Sorry for not posting for a while, but I thought I didn't want our wives to find my posts on Reddit. I didn't want to alert them that we knew. But after snooping through their browser histories and bookmarks, we discovered none of them uses Reddit. So here's what happened. After the helpful advice I received from wonderful people of this community, I immediately contacted my commanding officer and alerted him about what's about to happen. He just sighed and told me that he went through a similar situation and he understands. He also told me that he will get us leaves to sort our lives. Then he gave me contact information for a legal firm that's absolutely best at dealing with this kind of situation. In my state, it's legal to record everything, as long as it's with consent of the owner of the house or car, which is me. I rigged my home and car with a surveillance system to protect from any risk of break-in or insurance fraud. But because those situations didn't happen, I never really checked those recordings, and the old ones were just being written over. I replaced 4 2 terabyte hard disks from the house and 1 2 terabyte hard disk in my car as soon as possible to save as much evidence as I could. Next thing I did was call my buddies over to a single friend's house, locked doors, took away their personal arms, and basically just laid it all out. I told them everything, including the recording of the meeting our wives had. The next few hours were very hard. It started with shock and disbelief. I saw battle-hardened warriors whimper and shocked like a child would be on a battlefield. Then came rage, which was even harder to deal with. I and my single buddy had to restrain them from going ballistic for a few hours. Then came despair. They then started to tell stories about how they saw some red flags before that they dismissed. They always thought that it's impossible. They thought their marriage was great and that it can't possibly happen to them. But now all dots were starting to connect. Some of the stories I heard were truly terrifying and heartbreaking. My friend with a son also told me about how his son looks different, and he is confused that he might not actually be his biological son. That one truly hurt. That day, all we had was each other to hang on, and we had each other's backs like always. My special buddy went into his cellar and brought a case of some really good liquor. That day we needed it, so we all got blackout drunk and passed out. Next day, when we woke up, we made breakfast, took some meds for hangover, and as soon as we got better, I saw the switch flip for all of my buddies. All expressions left their face. It's like we were out there surrounded by hostiles. We gathered, and I explained my plan, how I wanted to unleash Armageddon upon those that hurt us so bad. And they all immediately agreed that this would be our best course of action. So our action plan went like this: assume full poker face, go full undercover, gather all data storage devices from our homes, and quietly replace them. Two of us would then sift through all the data and compile detailed analysis at my special buddy's home, snoop around for wayward wives' laptops and cell phones and install spyware on them, hit tracker data for last year from the tracker company, hit bank statements and credit card reports, get in touch with base legal and inform them about our situation and get advice on what that means for our pensions, etc. Meet lawyers from legal firms and retain them as soon as possible and tell them to prepare papers as fast as possible. Two of us would find and stalk our wayward wives to get information about their affair partners. Research on how to go nuclear without burning ourselves. Research wayward wives' possible reactions to all these things like gaslighting, blame shifting, excuses, etc., and compile a detailed report on their possible responses and our replies. Prepare all gathered evidence into well-detailed info bomb. Separate our finances discreetly and swiftly just before confrontation. Prepare an ambush, unleash kaboom of doom, and watch the fallout. Go full no contact with our wayward wives as soon as fallout starts. Head to therapy, meet up, get hammered to celebrate, and grieve our destroyed lives. So, we set up an empty room in my special friend's home and made it our forward operating base and went to work. We contacted the legal team and showed them all the data we had, and they told us this data is airtight and asked if we wanted a quiet, an amicable divorce, or scorched earth policy. We of course decided scorched earth policy. Our houses were owned by us completely and were private property, and we had them since before we were married, so other than some furniture, that wasn't the issue. Because divorce papers were being filed under adultery charges, so our retirement funds and pension will be also protected. On our lawyer's suggestion, we should talk 50% of all shared accounts and transfer them to our personal accounts before serving them papers. And also, if we could gather evidence against their affair partners, we could sue them for alienation of affection charges. We agreed, so they gave us contact info of some private investigators who worked for them in the past. Our lawyers are sharks, experienced sharks. My lawyer explained that she has seen this kind of thing before in military marriages, and it unfortunately runs rampant in military spouses. She said she is heartbroken about what we were going through because she was also a victim of infidelity and has no mercy for cheaters. They have prepared papers in a week. They work fast. She told me if we decide to expose wayward wives completely to everyone, including their workplaces, they are likely to lose their jobs, and we will have to pay temporary alimony until they can get gainful employment. Because of a military checkpoint near our house due to its close proximity with the base, we put in the request for data of particular vehicles and people that were suspected of as affair partners through our commanding officer. He's awesome. We then correlated all the data from GPS trackers on our wives' cars, the frequency of affair partners' visits, their dates, as well as video and audio evidence from our homes and cars, and positively identified all affair partners. My soon-to-be ex-wife has had 3 affair partners during the course of our marriage. We have also compiled all their emails and text messages. I felt sick and threw up watching what they were doing in our marital home. It was so psychologically scarring that it felt like I was falling in a black hole with no hope of returning. It felt as if I lost all will to live. Even after all me and my brothers went through. This was the first time we had some crazy thoughts. But every time one of us fell into depression, others would rush to his aid. We literally kept each other floating in this hellish ocean of despair. After we discovered who affair partners were, where they lived, and what they did, we hired private investigators and sent them to investigate those affair partners. Apparently all of them are wives, co-workers in some capacity, and are married with children. So that's where we are right now, preparing and arming ourselves. These days I feel like I am in a constant emotionless state. I am faking every smile, every laugh, and can barely keep myself from vomiting every time I hear I love you from her. I physically recoil every time she wants to cuddle, but I have to endure. Every time she is near me, a maelstrom starts in my head. I guess I will have to overcome it somehow. Update 2. So it happened. 2 days ago was when we unleashed Armageddon. For all 6 of us, things happened differently. Some very dramatic, some less so. As for me, it wasn't very dramatic. Maybe it's because of how I approached it. 3 days before we pushed the red button, I called my mom and told them I was coming to visit, and we will visit soon-to-be ex-wife's parents. They live about a 4-hour drive away in the same community. We visit them for a few days every time I come back to the States. Both of our parents are old school, very religious and conservative, but they are all very loving and kind people. We contacted many of other betrayed spouse before we were going to do this. Our original plan was to present divorce papers to both our wayward wives and their affair partners on the same day, but we realized it was getting extremely dangerous. If even one other betrayed spouse slips up, our wayward wives will get alerted, and that will give them time to craft excuses and strategies for attack. We needed to blindside them to make sure that didn't happen. So we stopped after alerting 3 other betrayed spouse. In that time, my soon-to-be ex-wife started acting suspiciously. She started acting more and more attentive, flirty, clingy, flirty, and romantic. So I thought she started suspecting something was up. I did my best to keep my cover and reciprocated, but I had to essentially control myself emotionally every hour. I still can't believe how hard it is to lie to her, to lie to someone you love, and she did it so easily. We recruited some of our other friends to take the data and go to contact the remaining other betrayed spouse and our wayward wives' parents on the day this was going to happen. We created a WhatsApp group for coordinating everyone. Anyway, a day before the confrontation, I took my soon-to-be ex-wife to a friend's place, which is about 3 miles away, and received a fake phone call by my friend. I told her to wait here for a while. I have to go meet my commanding officer about something. I will be back in a few hours. I told her to enjoy time with her girlfriends for a while. I then rushed home, where a friend of mine was waiting with a pickup truck. I already cataloged all of her stuff, clothes, electronics, etc. I packed up all her stuff in pre-made boxes and loaded the truck. I did this as fast as I possibly could. In about 2 hours, I was done, and I went back to my friend's place to pick up soon-to-be ex-wife and gave my friend thumbs up. I then drove in my car with my soon-to-be ex-wife, and my other friend with truck followed us at about 1 hour distance. We got to her parents' house at about 3 p.m., and my mom arrived at about 6 p.m. We greeted them, hung out, and played with her sister's children. My friend was just waiting in a restaurant nearby and waiting for my signal. At 10 p.m., we had a lovely dinner, and everyone just started chatting. I messaged my friend with a thumbs up emoji, and I said in a loud voice I have an announcement to make. I asked my ex-sister-in-law to take the children upstairs. Then I told everyone to please sit down and stay quiet until I stopped talking. This scared my soon-to-be ex-wife because she was shrinking in size. I think she knew what was coming next. But at this point, I had already made up my mind. I got calm and took a deep breath, collected myself, and laid it all out there. I told them all about soon-to-be ex-wife's affair and showed printouts of all the evidence I have collected on this affair. I told them to only see if they don't believe me and want to confirm it. It's a lot. Everyone was just stunned and silent. They didn't know what to say. I then told them I also have voice recordings, message chains, emails, videos, and pictures. I also have information on all of the affair partners, who they are, where they work, where they live, who their other betrayed spouse are, and what they do. I have all of their information printed out in this file if they want to review and confirm it. My soon-to-be ex-wife shrunk 3 sizes by this point, and look of utter shock and terror was on her face. I then told them that I cannot and will not continue in a relationship without trust, respect, and love, and my soon-to-be ex-wife's actions conclusively prove that she cannot give it to me. I then presented divorce papers. I told them I will not be going through any legal separation, as it is pointless exercise. Listening to this, my soon-to-be ex-wife started mumbling, "No, no, no, please, please, no, don't." I said I didn't expose them to any of our mutual friends or to her work, but please don't make false narratives to them about our situation, or I will tell them the truth with evidence. I then said my house is mine in my name pre-marriage, and our finances are already separated due to nature of our jobs, and I have also withdrawn half of my money from any shared accounts we had. I then told her, since she has her decent job, there will be no spousal support or alimony, and I would prefer we keep this out of court and do this ourselves. I then said, please email me on which furniture she would like, as I would let her have half of them, and that I have also brought all of her clothes and stuff from my house boxed up and in a truck outside. Stuff I will be leaving here. At this point, I couldn't hold it in any longer, and my eyes started tearing up, and few tears dripped down on my cheek, and I just fell silent. Everyone was just stunned and silent. It's like they were frozen in place or something. Soon my soon-to-be ex-wife just started wailing and crying non-stop, and I just closed my eyes and stood there silently. Then ex-sister-in-law grabbed my soon-to-be ex-wife by arms and took her to another room. My mom walked up to me and hugged me. She has been my support in the darkest days of my life. I then walked up to my father-in-law and mother-in-law and softly said, I am sorry I couldn't protect your daughter. My father-in-law stood up and hugged me while mother-in-law was just crying. Father-in-law shook my hand and said, I know you did your best. Please keep in contact with us at least for a while. At this point, I said okay in a soft tone and took my mom with me and walked out. My friend was already unloading the truck at this point on their front porch. I helped him, and once done, I looked at the house, and father-in-law was standing in the doorway. I said, please email me if there is something missing, and she needs it. He said okay. Me, my mom, and my friend then just left in our vehicles. I think I will have to give her the car because she will need it to commute for her job. I already have a bike, so it's okay. I will probably buy a truck too. I have been thinking about the Ford F-150. My mom offered me to stay at her place, where she will come to my home for support for some time, but I told her I will probably need some time alone to think on things and grieve properly. I also told her not to worry, I have my brothers. She said okay, but made me promise to call her every day and tell me how my day is going. After I got home, I broke down. For the first time since it all began, I truly broke down. It's a pain unlike any other. No words or phrases can describe it. This day, all of my buddies confronted their wayward wives, and each has their own interesting story, each filled with pain and hurt. All of the known other betrayed spouse have also been informed, and 2 other betrayed spouse whose families moved out of state have also been emailed with all the relevant data. Next day, me and my buddies got together and just sat in silence for a few minutes, then broke down and cried. We then talked about what happened, how we handled the D-Day, and exposure, but that's what surprised me. They told me context was different for each of them, but their wayward wives made excuses like, I can explain this blah blah blah. They even threw each other under the bus, blaming each other for their actions, but my soon-to-be ex-wife never did that. She just stayed quiet. Anyway, we just stopped talking about them and distracted ourselves with other things. It's been 2 days since then, and my soon-to-be ex-wife has been blowing up my phone and email. She is apologizing endlessly, but I haven't replied. I just ignore them. These 2 days have been very difficult. I can barely breathe. I can't stay at home. Every time I enter the house, it feels like the walls are closing down on me, so I just spend most of my day outside with my buddies. I am thinking of putting in a request for early deployment with my commanding officer. I just wanna go away and spend time away from here for a while, but after I get the divorce papers signed and filed in court, well, that's where we are now. It hurts beyond madness. I am thinking of going on a vacation with my buddies for a while, just to distract ourselves for a while. She remained silent because she was at her parents' house. If he was alone, he would get the same reactions as the other wayward wives. I think she didn't want this affairs, but her friends encouraged her as he was away and she was alone. He should not go back. If he go back, then he will lose his self-respect, and that will get him through all of this. There are few updates left in this story. If you want to hear it, let me know in the comment box.